Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I want to welcome you to the Systems Innovation Garage, which is the first innovation garage in Pakistan. We as a company believe in innovation and thus the formation of this garage. This garage is a center of innovation where we bring advanced technologies for our customers, with our customers, and co-create. Today is our podcast from this garage, and our topic is digitally enabled enterprises. This is a very interesting topic and very relevant topic for today because our enterprises are struggling to get digitally enabled. So what we will talk about in this podcast is what are the challenges and opportunities the enterprises have to become digitally enabled. I would call it a series of podcasts that we will start today, and over the next few months and weeks we will have several guests who will talk about their enterprises and how these enterprises are going through this pivoting to become digitally enabled. Before we get into this topic, let's first define and spend a few moments to understand what a digitally enabled enterprise is. A digitally enabled enterprise is an enterprise which is able to pivot in the face of disruptions like COVID and still grow. This enterprise is based on people, process, and automation and uses a digital platform to perform many of their functions internally and externally. So the keyword here that I've used is pivot and disruption. Disruption, we all know what it is, but pivot is a word that we've used very carefully here because I don't want to use transformation. I want to talk about how organizations pivot. And one of the big examples is COVID. Overnight, everybody had to go home and work remotely. Organizations across the globe and in Pakistan pivoted to provide remote access to employees and get everybody connected. That's a huge example in today's date of pivoting. We can look at various industries and we can start looking at our digital commerce industry. Our digital commerce industry in Pakistan has grown tremendously. It has got a penetration of about 19%. What that means is 19% of our population has accessed and bought products digitally. We are ranked 46th in the world, which is many folds better than what we were before COVID. Look at digital banking. Digital banking has grown over the last 18 to 24 months. Adoption from low base has gone and is an increase of 30% to 40% growth already. What that means is organizations behind these industries have been able to pivot and become digitally enabled enterprises. Systems is key as part of enabling the organizations through this digital journey. I also want to talk about another concept, which is a burning platform concept. So what a core part of a digitally enabled enterprise is when even it is growing at a large scale of 30, 40, 50%, the organization understands it that unless it pivots itself to become digital, there will be problems. So the CIO, the CTO, the CDO, the CXOs have to create a burning platform, have to go to their boards, to the CEOs and talk about things that they want to bring in for becoming digitally enabled. That is the key. So pivoting and creating burning platforms are two concepts that digitally enabled enterprises have in common. And we'll see examples around the world where people have done that. So if you look at companies like Netflix, we look at companies like Amazon, you look at pharmaceuticals. Why was Pfizer able to create the vaccine faster than anyone is because they were ready, they pivoted, created a burning platform, had invested in R&D, and were able to do this. The CXOs were looking at technology as a key part, were looking at digital innovation as a key part for their success in the future. That is core to a digitally enabled enterprise. So before we go into more details and look at practical examples, which we will do over the next few months in our series of this podcast, I want to pose few of the exam questions to our audience. And these are key. I've talked about them on other forums as well. And we as Systems are key in innovating around these questions. So what do enterprises who have successfully made this transition have in common is an exam question that we must answer. How does your enterprise become digitally enabled? Because as you listen to the podcast, you will be thinking, how do you become digitally enabled, and how do you actually measure yourself in this digital enablement. How to know if your enterprise is ready for becoming digitally enabled is another question, and how will your enterprise benefit? So these are some of the exam questions that we must answer over the next few podcasts. But today I want to lay some of the foundation. So the first question: what do enterprises that have successfully made these transitions have in common? So some of the common elements are that they're willing to transform. They are customer centric. They are data driven. They are redefining their work. They are aware of the dangers and are creating burning platforms to solve them. They're preparing their infrastructure. They're investing in their infrastructure, and they know what fast means. So this transformation has to happen with speed. They become digitally enabled when business alignment is there. Business and technology alignment. They have speed of innovation. Again, speed becomes a key element, and they have talent and organization that is aligned to this transformation. They have the technology. People have a seat on the table where it matters. That's what the organization has to be all about. And then we talk about how do we know if an enterprise is ready to become digitally enabled, and that is a key thing as well. So they are ready when they look at few things. Are you ready for this cloud transformation that is out there? And if you're not, then we need to rethink. Are your employees demanding hybrid? They're demanding flexibility. And are they part of remote revolution? And if they are you fulfilling as an organization their needs? Are your customers expecting digital journey? I talked about digital commerce as a key area of growth. This will only happen when the customers are asking for it. And finally, what are the benefits that a digitally enabled enterprise has? I think there are many benefits, and I'll pick a few up. You get more customer insights. You have a better customer experience. You have an empowered employee base. You have data-driven decision making, and you're better for future proofing. What does future proofing really mean? That you've invested in the future and made yourself stable. Like companies like Pfizer, who were future proof, and they were able to bring in things and create history through these revolutions by bringing the vaccine. So in conclusion, I would say this is a journey, and we look at various aspects of this journey. And as we look at these various aspects, we'll keep coming back to these exam questions that are key. So for today, this is our podcast. The topic is digitally enabled enterprises, and we will move forward with many more series. Looking forward. Thank you for listening.